I saw the shift happen myself. It wasn't a gradual change like the turning of a tide. It was instant, a snap of the fingers that altered the very air in the simulation chamber. 1 second, Commander Vance and Specialist Aara were just people. Soft, pliable things that bruised if he looked at them too hard. And the next, the whole breach alarm was screaming. A simulated tear in the station's skin that should have sent any sentient species into a scramble for oxygen masks. But they didn't scramble. I remember the way he looked at her. It wasn't fear. It was a terrifying, absolute clarity. Vance reached out, his hand locking onto Aara's forearm, skin against skin, a grounding wire for the chaos erupting around them. The heat of their connection seemed to burn through the flashing red strobes of the alert system. He didn't say a word. Didn't have to. I saw his pupils dilute, then pinprick prey eyes with predator focus. She leaned into his grip, not for support but to synchronize. Their heart rates, which I was monitoring on the datapad trembling in my hand, didn't spike in panic. They dropped. That's the part that still haunts me. They calmed down. It was intimate the way they became a single lethal unit amidst the noise. Truth is, I should have seen it coming. Rewind a few days to when they first docked at Nebula Station Beta. I was there in the BOLAB, staring at the readout from the Gene Sifter 5000. I tapped the screen, certain the machine was malfunctioning. It kept flagging their biology as a paradox. The scanner is not broken. The subject is just impossibly wrong. I muttered to myself, watching the analysis scroll by. The machine was confused. It saw muscle fibers designed for endurance, cooling systems that relied on fluid loss, persistence hunting markers, but it also saw a fragile lack of natural armor. Generalists, evolution's most dangerous generalist, the readout claimed. I didn't believe it. Not then. I decided to watch them, strictly for research. I found them in the cafeteria later that cycle. They were sitting close, knees brushing under the table, sharing a meal that looked suspiciously like processed protein meat, and they were laughing. Aara was showing Vance a hologram from her datapad. I crept closer, expecting to see family, maybe a landscape. It was a beast, a quadruped with fangs that could snap a femur. A wolf or a genetic cousin of one. He's such a baby, Aara was saying, her voice thick with affection, as she swiped to a video of the apex predator sleeping on a rug. Miss him? Vance smiled, a soft, genuine expression that crinkled the corners of his eyes. We'll get back to him. Keep the pack waiting, right? I remember staring at them, my intake valves fluttering. They pet the wolves that should be eating them. They invited monsters into their homes and called them family. It made no sense. I looked at their hands, fingers intertwined on the table now, resting near their plates, gentle, capable of such tenderness. I didn't understand then that the tenderness was just the sheath for the knife. I thought they were soft. I thought the lack of claws or kitten meant they were unfinished. I didn't realize that their adrenaline response was a dormant volcano, waiting for the right trigger. I didn't know that their ability to love was exactly what made them so dangerous when that love was threatened. And sitting there watching them share the quiet moment of longing for a deadly pet, I had no idea that in 48 hours I'd see that same softness harden into something that would terrify the station's most elite combat units. We were back in the red strobe of the simulation chamber. The alarms were tearing at my auditory sensors, but Vance and Aara were silent. I saw it happen. The containment door, a massive slab of plastil designed to seal the breach, jammed halfway. In any other species, this is the moment of panic. This is where the breathing spikes, the heart flutters, and the mind goes blank. But Vance didn't blink. He moved toward the door, not with the desperate scramble of a victim, but with the heavy, purposeful stride of something that had decided to win. He jammed his shoulder under the locking mechanism. I checked the telemetry. His adrenal levels surged, a chemical flood that should have stopped his heart. Instead, his muscles locked. AR, he grunted. One word. Low, rough. She was already moving. She didn't even look at him. She just knew. She slid beneath the gap he was holding open, her hands flying across the manual override panel. I watched the readout on my datapad, mesmerized. His heart rate was hammering, sure, but the rhythm was steady, a war drum. He was holding up weight that physics said he shouldn't be able to lift. Hysterical strength, the manuals call it. A biological override that trades safety for raw power. He was tearing his own fibers to keep that door up. And he didn't even flinch. And Aara, she was the cooling system. While he burned, she focused. Her fingers were a blur, bypassing the safety protocols, rewriting the code on the fly. She wasn't just fixing a machine. She was killing the problem. Relentless. It was terrifying. Then she stopped. She looked up at him just for a second. There was no fear in her eyes, just a fierce, burning validation. She reached up, placing a hand on his straining leg. The simple touch. Clear, she whispered. Vance let go. The door slammed shut, sealing the simulated void. The red lights died. The sirens cut out. The sudden quiet was louder than the alarms. I stood there gripping my data pad, waiting for them to collapse. I expected trauma. I expected them to need a medical team. Vance exhaled, a long, shuddering breath. Then he looked down at Aara, and that predator focus just evaporated. The tension drained out of his shoulders, and he offered her a hand to pull her up. Pizza? He asked. Just like that. Aara dusted off her knees, a grin spreading across her face. Extra cheese. You owe me for that override. They walked past me, bumping shoulders, laughing about toppings. I don't think they even saw me. They had just simulated a near-death experience, utilized biological functions that bordered on self-destruction, and now they were thinking about dinner. I looked at the gene sifter readout one last time. Terrifyingly adaptable, it read. I shut the device off. Truth is, I didn't file the standard report that day. I just sat on a crate in the empty simulation room, listening to the hum of the ventilation, trying to slow my own heart rate down. I realized then that the scanner was right. They weren't just generalists. They were something else entirely. They could turn the killer instinct on and off like a light switch. And that is why I requested a transfer to a nice, quiet agri-world the very next morning. I can handle the void, and I can handle complex mechanics. Please follow my channel for more videos. One click from you can change my life.